Speaking a foreign language means knowing another word, another culture, other traditions, ways of doing and thinking different from ours, other mentalities. However, what does it really mean to master a language? Undoubtedly, it means knowing the morphosyntactic structures that regulate its functioning, the words through which you can express yourself and be understood by others. It means knowing the cultural diversity that makes a language different from ours. To speak your mother tongue and any foreign language correctly, you must be aware of the fact that all languages are characterized by properties. We are going to focus on polysemy, a property of every language for which a lemma can have multiple meanings, which are etymologically and semantically related. I analyzed it from a diachronic and synchronic, cognitive, purely structural, syntactic, semantic, and cultural point of view. The primary objective is to demonstrate how polysemy is a source of cultural and lexical richness, and not a sort of anomaly. There is no language in which all terms, and more generally, all expressions, have only one meaning and one interpretation. This feature is, in fact, a consequence of the flexibility of thought and is intrinsic to the human mind. I analyzed the concept from a historical chronological point of view through the theories of some linguists and semanticists who conducted careful research on this topic, studied the long and the conceptual relationships between words. Although the term polysemy was coined by the French linguist Michel Breuil, this semantic feature has been under study for much longer than you might think. In fact, in the philosophical and linguistic reflections of Aristotle, there is the question of the multiple meanings that a word has. Dante Alighieri defined his Divine Comedy polysemic, as it can be interpreted literally but also allegorically. Subsequently, I compared polysemy and homonymy, the case in which two or more words have the same spelling or pronunciation but different meanings and origins, and enantiosemy, the case in which a term has two meanings not only different but even opposite to each other. Then I defined and contextualized some polysemic terms frequently used in everyday language and others belonging to specialized languages. From a historical social point of view, there is a brief digression on the political and linguistic unification of Italy and geo-homonyms, identical terms in form, but with different meanings according to the region in which they are used. Language and culture are two sides of the same coin. A language reflects the culture of the population that speaks it. I demonstrated that the sexism present in the Italian culture is reflected on the language through what I called examples of linguistic sexism polysemy. They are terms or common expressions that in the masculine have a normal meaning, while in the feminine become offensive and ambiguous. I described lexicology and terminology, theoretical sciences concentrated on the study of language, and lexicography and terminography, subdisciplines whose purpose is the compiling of dictionaries and glossaries. Polysemy is a complex issue for language experts because it is not easy to establish when one meaning ends and another begins, but it is also a valuable resource. I demonstrated that polysemy is a fundamental and intrinsic property of all historical natural languages. It is rare that a term has one and only one meaning, a feature typical of an ideal hypothetical language, since otherwise the languages we speak would consist of a disproportionate number of words. Therefore, we can see how fascinating it is that words can have new senses, nuances of meaning, and this shows how flexible this makes our way of thinking. I would like to conclude with a quote taken from the book The Society of the Mind, written by the American scientist Marvin Minsky, which ironically synthesizes this concept. Whatever we may want to say, we probably won't say exactly that, but in exchange there is a chance of saying something else that is both good and new.